Hello, darlings, and welcome back to another episode of the Mystical Artist podcast, which is the map for the artist who wants to unveil the mysteries within them that are hidden behind the mist. So, my name is Emanuela. You can also call me M, and let's get started on the topic for today, which is drumroll comparison. I do not know how the drum roll sounded for you guys, but let's start. So comparison is such a big thing in general in us people in life, right? But especially when it comes to artists. And it's funny because when you think about it, art is an expression of one's self. By the way, I'm going to reference here a masterclass, which I have not done yet, but probably by the time you listen to this, it may already be on air, which you can find on my website, uniqueartem.studio/lounge.html. There is a series of masterclasses, and I'm gonna have a masterclass named let me see, how to create from your imagination and beyond. And that's where I will talk more about what art actually is and not what it should be and what it's thought to be. And talking about how art is actually an expression of oneself. When you think about it, no one can actually tell you if your expression of yourself is good or bad because it's a personal experience. It's it's like someone coming to tell you you are wrong, which some people actually do, and this actually happens in the world, which I know it's horrible. But when you have a knowingness of who you are, someone coming to you and telling you you are wrong in the way, I don't know, you were born, you know that is not true. And the same goes to your artwork. Like when people tell you, oh, so many things I want to touch on, they are just coming to me. And I actually wanted to say that comparison goes very closely with the topic of uniqueness, right? And this also seeps a bit into the being copied topic. So depending on how much I'm going to talk about comparison, I'll see if I'm gonna put that in this episode, that conversation, or I'm gonna do a completely different one on that topic. So anyway, let me see if I forgot what I wanted to say or not. Yes, I did forget. Good for me for making that parenthesis there. Rewind. Yes, I completely forgot. Okay, I think I got it. It's a good thing that I was just um praising myself for having so many ideas and all of a sudden they all flew away. So, yeah, I was talking about how people tell artists that you are too, like, it's a wrong thing. Whenever I use the word wrong or right, I kind of air quote because it's a very subjective topic of what's right or wrong. But I'm using those words in order for us to understand where I'm going with this. So a lot of people are going to tell you, if they haven't already, like tell artists that it's wrong for you to be very personal, like to take your artwork too personally, because when you get criticized, you will be too attached to your artwork. Now, here is the wonderful paradox in this. I always love a good paradox. If you know this already about myself, if not, you know it now. an artwork, anything that you create, and this can be any kind of artwork, any kind of expression of yourself. It does not necessarily mean it's a drawing or a music something or a dance or any kind of expression. It can be a sentence that you put out there, any kind of expression of oneself. It is an expression of who you are. So of course it's fucking personal. But in the same time, what they are referring to is the attachment to it. So although the artwork itself, the creation is kind of like an extension of you, but it's not really an extension of you. Because if you think, there are so slight nuances here that if you can perceive, they go a long way. So it's not like it's an extension of you. It's an expression of you. It's a difference. And the extension of you would be something that you hold on to because it's an extension. It's like a finger. A finger is an extension of your body, of your palm. So it's attached to you, to your body, right? If it's an expression of you, then it's just something that you get out of you, but then you let it go. It's not attached to you unless you keep it attached. And that's where, if you are actually creating something from your talent, your inner, most authentic talent, you create and you let it go. You don't get attached to it. Because when you create from the ego, when you create, and how that looks like creating from the ego is basically creating from the mind, creating what you think you should be doing, putting all of those techniques and notions that you've learned up until now, and you've put so much sweat and tears in acquiring those skills, and now you're here to show everything that you've got, and you're in proving mode to yourself and to others, and you want to showcase everything, and you think you have such good ideas and everything is thought out so well, and you're attached to it. When you are attached to a certain result, that is not creating from the genius, and that's what people are talking about. But in the same time, artwork, you can call it something personal. It is personal. I can't really call it personal because when you create from your genius, you don't create from you as the person, because you create more like, let's call it your higher self. It just comes through you, but there's a reason why this artwork is coming through you, and it can only come through you through the filter of your talent with a capital T. So it is personal to you in the sense that it's uniquely yours. Only you could have created exactly that piece of artwork, which is amazing. And you want to be conscious of that uniqueness that you have. When people tell you that, oh, anyone could have created this or something along those lines, they're just, sorry for the squeaking, they're just making you, trying to belittle you. But when you know the mastery of your artistry, you don't care about those kind of comments because you know they are not true. So how does all of this shit that I've been talking about relate to comparison? So much. I had this sentence: when you compare yourself with others, you are dead in the fucking water. And you can quote me on that one. We are so used to comparing ourselves. I want to actually go back when I was in school And let me know if this reminds you of any experiences that you might have had that are similar. And you get this kind of a brief to do something, like in school, right? A task or something, a creative one, like a write something, like whatever it is. And you start doing it. And I used to do this, right? So I started to create my own thing after the brief that I was given. And at some point, I might have been like stuck, like not knowing exactly where to go. So I would think, oh, let me look at what others are doing to, I don't know, get some inspiration or something. And when I started to look at others, I would realize that they understood the brief completely different than me. And I don't know if others might have had the same realization, but for me, this was fucking epic. First of all, for the fact that right after I got the brief, I did not look at others or talk to others to see, hey, what do you understand out of this? Because that is the fucking beauty in your own unique filters of perception. That's also part of your uniqueness. Understanding the brief differently than others. But then, when I started looking at others, I found myself questioning, did I get this right? Maybe I'm the only one that's like a bit, not stupid, but I don't have, for lack of a better word, I'm just gonna go with stupid, but how come I'm the only one that thought of it this way? But I would always kind of see it as a negative thing because others, like I wasn't seeing things as the others were. And that's fascinating to me, in kind of a bad way, because we are raised in a society where being different is something bad. And we have this desire, this innate desire to be accepted. And in order to be accepted, we feel that we need to be like others because others, especially for us that are tend to be like the black sheeps of the family, of the society or our community, we see others as more easily influenced into not being themselves and being part of society's rules. And we, the black sheep, feel like we don't integrate in the community. We don't want to be left out, but we don't want to lose ourselves either because we have this strong sense of individuality. And that's where this big, massive conflict within us arises. And so that experience in my childhood was fascinating, although I wasn't aware of it at that time. But comparing ourselves to others, like I was doing when I started looking at what others are doing, we have a tendency to start taking after them instead of cultivating our uniqueness and trusting that. There's nothing wrong. So, everything, I always say this, nothing is good or bad. It's just a matter of the reason behind it that makes an action good or bad, meaning helpful or detrimental to you. Meaning that in this case, there's nothing wrong with looking at what other people are doing. And for some reason, I feel like I've said this before, maybe in the other episode, or I don't know. But anyway, saying the same things is good because it means you need to hear it yet again. So, looking at what other people are doing, there's nothing wrong with it. Looking at them because you don't trust yourself and you want to do what they do, that there's something wrong there. Because this obviously perpetuates distrust in yourself. So that means that you are not going to be able to access your genius because you don't trust it. You just can't reach it because there is no trust within you. You don't have an honest relationship with yourself. So you cannot fucking just bloom that bud that wants to bloom. I wanted to say needs like a safe space to bloom. Like this, what is even up with this analogy, like this so safe analogy? Because it's not a fucking flower. It's more like a fucking dragon that wants to come out, basically. It's a bit more violent than that because let me tell you, if you don't let it out, it's gonna fucking consume you on from the inside out. So before getting so grim about everything, what was I saying? So I was talking about this idea that you can look at what others are doing, but when you don't know who you are, you don't have this knowingness with a capital K of your mastery of what you are all about and being unfucking shakeable. When you look at others, you tend to take from them just because you feel, and it's like a subconscious programming, you just feel that, oh, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. Or you kind of like always perceive others to be like more knowing, knowledgeable and successful than you. So you feel like, oh, they know better. Because in this field, I may not be so good or whatever. So you don't trust the knowingness because it's so important to know, to realize that even when you are in a situation that is new, when you're doing something you haven't done before, you don't need to look to others in order to know what you have to do. You have to just look within you because you have the knowingness within. So talking about comparison, that's why I said that when you start comparing yourself with others, you are just dead in the water because uniqueness cannot be compared. This, if there's anything you take out of this episode, is this what I just said right now. Uniqueness cannot be compared. If everyone would just be their most authentic selves and they would express their inner talent with capital T, we would all be so perfectly different from each other because we are all unique in our own way. And uniqueness, one of a kindness, cannot be compared. And I'm even gonna go into this topic of you have, in order to learn something, you have to learn from others that have walked this path that you want to go on. First of all, you're not gonna walk anyone else's path. You are gonna walk your own. When you get attached to this idea of a mentor, especially if it's not like a one-on-one interactive mentorship, and it's just like you listening to someone from a distance, from afar, so you don't know each other actually. The mentor doesn't know you personally. Because when you have a mentor that guides you, mentors you personally, that's a whole nother dynamic. But when you just get the mentorship from general information, you want not attached to anyone else's path because you will always start to compare yourself or your path with theirs. You will always have some kind of expectations from yourself. You will always have attachments, and then this creates a very strong, it puts emphasis on this paradigm of right and wrong, which does not exist. There is no actual right and wrong. You have to just be trusting of your own path, because that's the only way you let it flourish. That's the only way you can access those gems within you, that dragon that is so fucking powerful. That is the only way. You cannot unleash that power by doing what others are doing. Even if they are so successful, they are that successful because they walked on their own path. Their path is not the solution. Their energy is the solution, and their energy is being authentic to their path. Do you see? So that's a very interesting distinction. When you have like this mentor from afar, someone you admire, you aspire to be, you don't want to do what they do. You want to have their energy. And a successful person will always have, no, success is a very subjective thing also, but we're just gonna let it be. A successful person will have the energy of confidence in their own path, no matter what that is. And when you have that, you don't have attachments. You don't have attachments of that path having to look in a certain way. This, can also talk about not having attachments to your artwork looking in a certain way, and letting yourself express you, and not having to fit in certain standards that are out there. This is so funny. I think this is what I started saying right at the beginning, how art is supposed to be so liberating and so free, because it's about expressing oneself. And yet, I see so many rules and so many shoulds of how you have to do things in order for them to look a certain way. Well, I don't give a fuck about looking a certain way. I give a fuck about how authentic I am in my expression and not in the outcome, although when you do that, the outcome is fucking epic because you blow your own mind achieving things that you didn't think possible. If it's not clear up until now from what I've been talking, comparing yourself to others, again, I'm not talking about looking at others. You can look at others and appreciate their work, and that's awesome. You can also sense how much ego you still have left, which ego also implies attachments to certain things. You will have to figure out which are those things. What are you attached to? By the way you react to other people's success. Do you feel envy? Do you feel jealous? Or does it make you, oh my God, I'm so happy for you, like genuinely happy? Also, comparison perpetuates the inferior superior paradigm. If you feel superior to people, like in general, that does not mean you have self-esteem. It actually means the opposite, because superior is just the opposite side of the same coin, where on the opposite side there is inferior. So it's superior is still lack of self-esteem, but you want to compensate it by feeling superior to others. When you are in your knowingness and you know the mastery in your artistry and the uniqueness that you bring to the table of the world, you don't feel either superior or inferior, because we are all how unique, one of a kind. So even if someone does something very similar to what you do, you don't go, oh shit, why didn't I think of that? Or oh shit, they do what I do, but they're more successful, or whatever. No, you're like, oh, that's very interesting. Actually, let me maybe connect with this person and see what they do. And when there's genuine connection in there and communication and genuine trust in one's uniqueness and ability, you don't think of copying each other. You are not afraid of being copied. You are not afraid to give out your secrets that they may use it against you or something. You are like genuinely communicating with that person, and you are actually, what's going to happen, you're going to discover even more of your uniqueness, because you're seeing them do something so similar, and yet you will also see the differences in what you do, which is fascinating to see small little facets of uniqueness. So that could be an interesting exercise for you, for example, to connect with someone you feel they do something very similar and see what happens. But yes, talking about this superior inferior paradigm, that's not where you want to be, where whenever you feel either superior or inferior, it's still in both cases lack of self-esteem, which means you are not seeing the true value of you, of your work. You are not acknowledging the uniqueness in you, and you are still comparing yourself to others. I actually, a bit like a few minutes ago, I was talking about this learning journey where a lot of people will tell you to like take someone that's already famous or well known or whatever, and to start creating from, and for some reason I'm talking mostly about drawing right now, this comes to mind, but I'm guessing it can be in any kind of domain of activity, like to just not necessarily copy them, but like try to copy them in order to kind of learn the basics so you can evolve from there. And the way you kind of find your uniqueness is by you taking bits and pieces from this person, the other person, what you like from different styles. Well, that's fucking bullshit, because that's not how you develop uniqueness. From what that does is it perpetuates lack of trust in yourself, and it perpetuates you being always dependent on someone else. So it's like you always need to look for an authority figure in your career and to do what they do, or to take from them what you need in order to create your uniqueness. But your uniqueness does not come from them. Now, I'm not saying that if someone else's artwork inspires you in some way, don't do it, that's wrong. No, no such thing. What I'm saying is you don't develop uniqueness by not being unique. That's like wanting peace, wanting to acquire peace by going to war. That does not fucking happen. So the only way to actually develop your uniqueness, and I'm saying develop because it's something that you kind of unfold, like peel the layers off of it, because it is within you, but your relationship to your uniqueness and to your core essence evolves in time in different aspects. Like, it's just playful, it's always dynamic. But the only way to actually develop that uniqueness and be able to reach it is by trusting you, by trusting it, the uniqueness, not by copying someone else and doing what they do, and then all of a sudden you will be unique. That does not fucking happen. You want to cultivate trust within yourself, even though, because of the society we live in, we are not taught to do that. We are always taught that, oh, you are kids and you don't know any better, and I'm the adult and I know better. And we are always taught to look at someone else for the answers, someone on the outside that seems more qualified, which is not true. You can listen to what they say. You can take advice in life from other people, as long as you don't take it as truth. Your knowingness is the only one that actually knows what's best for you. So, again, what I was trying to say, but I don't think I finished my sentence, is that by being truthful to your uniqueness and developing it, exercising it, you will not have an easy path. In the sense of, at the beginning, it's going to be a bit tricky because you're not used to doing that. But that's actually what you want to do in order to get to that unique style or whatever. It's actually more even than the unique style, because it's not about having a unique style. It's about finding that uniqueness suited for each project, and you're not actually finding it, because when you're connected to your knowingness, to your talent with capital T, it just comes to you. It just flows right through you. That self-expression is gonna be like, it's gonna just be. Okay, guys, let me see, do I have anything else to share about comparison? Yeah, don't do it, period. But in the same time, you don't want to say, oh, this is wrong, so I should stop myself from doing that, because having resistance towards something is only going to make that thing stronger. It means that that thing that you're resisting has power over you. So when you observe yourself comparing yourself, what you want to actually do is to figure out, why are you doing that? What insecurities come up for you, and you want to solve them, to get to the core of them. So it's not like banning yourself from comparing. Not comparing is gonna come by itself once you shift your energy. And the way you shift your energy is by not judging yourself, meaning, oh, I'm comparing myself, I'm so stupid. No. Oh, I'm comparing myself. Why am I doing that? Okay, let me see. Let me figure out. There's nothing good or wrong. It's just, oh, observing and seeing why that is, what's underneath that, and addressing that. And also, as a practice, I want to give you just a small exercise, is for you to observe when you have things that are very like habitual, or you have like those kind of rules of how you should be creating, and I want you to challenge them. I want you to, oh, I'm giving drawing examples right now, but it can be again in any kind of expression, creative expression. Oh, I should start with a sketch because that's how you start drawing. Oh, fuck the sketch, I'm just gonna start with, I don't know, if I don't do a sketch, how do I start doing an artwork? Like, even that question is already getting you from automatism to being present and shifting your energy by choosing differently in the present moment. That's what happens. Perfect ending to this. Amazing. I'm actually gonna finish it with, when you start comparing yourself to others, you are dead in the fucking water. Don't forget, quote me on that. Bye, guys, and see you on the next episode.